Hey everyone, it's time for a monthly market update, and today's April 1st. It's no joke, we're gonna do it on the April 1st because it's a good opportunity to look into what's happening. It's been a very interesting month of April, and as you can see by the chart here, this is the monthly. We're up 16% again on Bitcoin, and that is pretty awesome. I would say. You can see here that we've already have like 6 or 8 months in a row of green, so that's quite a bit. But honestly, we're in a bull run, and we obviously have the massive narrative of the ETF still going. We can actually look at the flows. I haven't checked them in a while. I'm not sure if today's as a working day. You gotta tell me, guy, because there's the Easter here in Europe, in some countries at least. So I haven't really checked if markets are open or not, but we can check at the volumes right now. We had a bit of outflows few days or weeks ago, and that caused Bitcoin to crash a little bit. Let me just find the right one, uh, right dashboard. There we go. So net, we're still going up, and these are the volumes that the all ETFs are, pushing combined. And if we see the flows here, you see that in the past several days, so at the end of March, we had quite a bit of outflows compared to the last few days. And these are just the last week or so, but we can see here, we just go year to date. And yeah, this is, I think, by a week, if I'm not mistaken. So you can see here the last few days, weeks, we've had a bit more outflows, but they were also in the past, in the beginning of the month, they were also combined with a lot more inflow. So you can see the graphs here on the top. Let me just zoom this a little bit so we can see it better. You can see that the inflows were also quite a bit high, and then we had a 1 week with very little inflows and quite a bit of outflows. So that caused a little bit of a dump. But honestly, that is very normal and actually very expected because you can see that we've been up only for months already. Like a long time. We've been up only mode. We've had little corrections, but we've been really spoiled with the price action of Bitcoin. And we actually closed the month even after such week we had with some negative outflows. We still closed the month at all-time highs. We've never had a higher close on Bitcoin. We closed at $71,000, and last time we were at around 70K. It was just a week, and then we closed back down at what's that? At 56K. So you can definitely feel bullish up here. And on the weekly, it's just, again, not looking terrible. We're just consolidating around the all-time high. And I've marked this a while back, I think from our previous update. And you can see that this has been getting steep. And this price action is still pretty steep. So even if we get a few more weeks of chop here and absolutely no interesting price action, I think that would be great for the market. Even if we get a washout, again, this will be a healthy correction because even if we break 60K here, which on the daily is some kind of a support level, round emotional number and so on, the next level down is like 42K, which like the pivot high is actually here on the weekly. There's no pivot high after that, or low, sorry. So you can see that this is quite a long way back. I don't think we're going to get there, but still, even if we get to like 50K, we're still good. I mean, we're still in a bull market. Yes, everything will look like it's the end of the world and everything will look terrible, especially on the altcoin pairs. But still, the price action and the structure long term on the long term charts will still look good. So I'm okay, and I'm prepared, and that's my base case actually, that we're gonna have a bit more consolidation till the halving. Right now, the halving is scheduled for April 20th. So let's jump on the daily and we can mark it here. April 20th is somewhere around here. So we still have 3 more weeks or so of price action before the actual halving. So it's somewhere around here. And I would expect this to continue and price to even go down to 60K and just drop around this level. Definitely, I'm prepared for this. I'm expecting, it, especially after the move we just looked. And also, if we just look at the previous cycle, we've done this before, but just a refresher, you can see here the number of days and weeks we had chop around this area. And after that, we had another leg up higher, and then some consolidation, and the real like big move happened. And then we had a massive correction, and then we still went up. So technically, my bias is still very bullish. I'm still looking to accumulate a bit more positions that I'm in that we're gonna discuss, and things are looking good. I'm just a bit more cautious here, just because we could get a day like this where you can see most of other things are red. JITO was actually one of the things that was green on the day, but now it's turning red as we started the call. But that's completely normal, and we haven't even broken 69K. Like we haven't even closed. If we jump on the 4-hour chart, okay, we had a 4-hour chart close before below this, but it's like, come on, guys. I mean, it's nothing. Looking in the grand scheme of things. So talking about this, what is my plan here for Bitcoin? So if we keep chopping around, honestly, I'm not gonna take any drastic measures. I'm not gonna sell all my backs. I'm not gonna, go all in unless we get like a really nice juicy washout. I'm just sitting it out. I'm taking a break, honestly, from all of this. I like this price action because the last few weeks, months have been very hectic and it's been very active. But now I'm just, I've packed my bags. I'm gonna go through some of them that I'm considering to cut if we break structure, but then only to look for options either lower or to re-add if we get, more bullish patterns on the same coin. So I like the coins that I'm in right now. So I'm just sitting on my hands if we just drop. And once we get confirmed weakness or strength, then again, I'm be willing to add a bit more to my exposure. But even if I don't add, I'm currently around probably around 15% cash. I gotta double check for my last ads, but 15-20% cash. And I'm good. I have plenty of exposure and I want to have dry powder if we get something really attractive. This is about Bitcoin. And before we move to the shitcoins, I gotta talk about something. And that's obviously that I made the move a little bit too early to move into outs. I've been looking into some charts. Let me just go through a few. Butterfly is a long-term play for me that I started buying somewhere like in here. This is almost a year ago. And since then to current price action, we're up like 33%. And Bitcoin is more than doubled since then. So although I like this play, I'm getting like 30% yield on my butterfly, but this is a very risky play. I believe it will do, probably even 100x. But still, I was better off just holding Bitcoin. The same holds true for STG, although it's a bit different play for me. But this has been just accumulating, doing pretty much nothing from where I bought it. Bitcoin has been ripping. TIA, same thing. Although again, it's a special case for the airdrops and so on and so on. But from my entry, I'm either at break even or a little bit below my entry. Bitcoin has been on a rip since then, and most other things really that I hold also have similar charts versus Bitcoin, except few exceptions, that obviously we're going to talk about. But honestly, I rotated a little bit earlier. You never can time the market perfectly. I even rotated earlier into ETH because ETH BTC still looks like shit. We're still hanging, actually even breaking below this crucial level, in my opinion, for ETH BTC since we've had such an accumulation. And honestly, besides ordinals, which have been doing very well for me, I would have been much better off by just holding Bitcoin and not selling where I took profits. I honestly don't have regrets because, end of the day, the important thing is to have the number going up in your portfolio. And my number has been going up, so I'm quite satisfied. And you can never be perfect and trade 100% correct. But definitely, this is something that I was a little bit too early on. And I sold some Bitcoin, somewhere around 43K, expecting it to go lower. It never went lower, and it's 60% up from there. So I haven't made 60% up on my major altcoin positions, mostly. On a few, yes, but mostly I haven't made it. So just a food for thought. Probably at some point we'll have a few months where altcoins will go ballistic and my bet will play out, and I will make a lot more money than I would have holding Bitcoin. But I could have maximized this a little bit better by just sticking to Bitcoin a little bit longer and then rotating into alts a little bit later, or at least having a bit more exposure to Bitcoin still compared to what I have right now, because I still have plenty of Bitcoin exposure. Just doing it like a life diary in this case for the code, just because we take different trades. We try to stay on top of the market, but not always the more complex thing is gonna make you more money. And of course, the stress levels and the time that I dedicate to this is a lot more to be making, in this case, a little bit more money than for just holding Bitcoin. Um, Talking about Ethereum, we're again at a place where, go on the weekly, you can see here, it's not a terrible chart. It's been underperforming, obviously, Bitcoin, but we're at this level around 3,500. I had an alert here set at 3K, and if we reach there, I was thinking maybe I could add a bit more, or just at least watch what's going to happen. But it didn't hit, just by a little bit. I'm gonna leave it here just to as a reminder if we get there. But again, we're just consolidating here after so many weeks of green, and I don't mind it. I don't mind. It will have its time at some point. It's not there yet, I guess, and the whole ecosystem, even L2s are not doing too well. But we'll get there. We'll get there, and we just have to be patient. With this one, nothing else to really talk about this chart. It's not a spot where I would be buying, honestly. Uh, Maybe if we get a lot lower, yeah, sure, I would be buying some Ethereum. But at this stage, yeah, I don't know. If this rips, probably altcoins will also rip harder. So again, I have some ETH exposure and I have some shitcoins denominated in ETH, and I'm making ETH on these positions. So that's how I'm playing it. But pure ETH, I wouldn't be buying ETH at these levels as of today. Another one I wanted to talk about is Track. This is one of my biggest Ordinals bet. It hasn't been doing too well. So right here, it was such an obvious top. They had a screenshot for their tap airdrop. It was the perfect selling opportunity because now we're like 50-60% down at the bottom, even breaking below this range. And they have a bunch of catalysts for Track, but they still haven't materialized. And we don't know what will happen with Runes, because Runes is another huge Bitcoin and Ordinals narrative currently playing out, and all other narratives like Track narrative are kind of step behind it, and this will continue until the halving. I still haven't sold any of my Track, so we'll see what happens there. But definitely could have timed this a little bit better and just sold and rebought, even if I was gonna miss the tap, airdrop, snapshot, whatever. I don't think it's gonna be that big of an airdrop. Maybe I'm mistaken. We'll see. But yeah, I could have played this a little bit better also. But this is a long-term play for me. And honestly, if we break, I don't know if we go. I'm gonna cut it at this level. I gotta reconsider this if we see the thesis not playing out for this one. And then we had a few winners, quite good ones. Jito is one of them. I rebought some of my size here, so I sold somewhere around 3.2, 3.4, something around here. I sold some of my Jito. It corrected really clean retest here. And once I saw it, kind of getting back into bullish structure, I decided to rebuy. And from there, we were up at some point more than 50% just today, actually. I haven't sold it, but I'm considering if we break below this structure, I'm going to sell maybe the entirety of my position. I'll see. But long term, this is a very good Solana bet, in my opinion, together with Jupiter, which I don't have exposure to, but this one I have. And as you can see, this trade purely as a technical trade, it just ripped, and we smashed the 3R here. It was at 5 or 6R at some point today. So very good one, but since I have size, since I have taken close spaces, even if we break this level and I decided to exit my entire position at 2.7, I'll still be in profit. So yeah, very good one, but not as good as trade, which I took some off the table already, and it's been for now the good call. because we are at this fib extension level here. For those that haven't followed, I bought trade here at the lows at 85 cents or something like this. It made like a quick 3x in 2 weeks, and I took like 20 or 30%. I think it was 20%, around 2.8 here. And now we're consolidating. But honestly, I like this token so much. And with the real world asset narrative playing out with BlackRock shit and everything, I'll probably re-add my size once we get a bit of more sideways action, or if we get a nice juicy dip. So if we get consolidating here, I'll probably re-add just because this is such a small market cap token. I got in at around 30 or 40 million, maybe even less. And now it's still under 100 million market cap, and this could go to a billion easy. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I just want to have enough exposure, and this has been like one of the best performers and one of the biggest backs in my portfolio. So great call on this one. And another one I wanted to show you was Ondo. Ondo is a little bit more correcting right now, but again, I haven't sold any. I haven't touched this one. I just added. This is a little bit bigger market size, but I like it again. And if it just consolidates here, I think it's gonna be one of the big winners in the other next half of the year or something like this after the halving. There are several other plays that are like borderline, still good, but I'll probably be a bit more strict with them. So AI, if it breaks this line, this means for me change in structure. I might cut it, but again, I'll be adding to this lower if we get there, or if we get a little clearer price action further down the road. Miria, same thing. I'm around break even right now, a little bit underwater actually. But again, looking to maybe cut if I see a bit more bearishness and add lower because I still like this one. Manta, same case. And what I wanted to point out here, and it's what is the difficult decision for me, is that all of these charts that I showed you, including Jito, including, I would say, even big time, because it's also close to my invalidation. All of these are really just looking like this is one big accumulation. So in the grand scheme of things, this is a $700 million market cap coin, which is not little, but it's not enormous. It's not like 5 billion. I believe that this entire thing would be an accumulation, which means that we can chop around and we can have moves here, like for example, another move to the downside, then like 100% rip, then 50% drawdown, then another 50% up. We could have this until we get Bitcoin running again and we get a real altcoin market, which we haven't really seen. We've seen some pop, but not that many. And if this happens, all of these buys here will be great. However, since I'm quite exposed right now, and in case something happens, like a black swan or whatever, with some of these tokens, I'll be stricter and I'll probably be losing net some value if I decide to cut most of these that I showed you already. I'll be losing like 20% on these trades, but I just want to protect my downside because if I let my runners like this one, like 200% and take profit, and I just cut the others at a 20% loss, net I'll come on top at the end of the market. And honestly, this is the goal actually, because I want to be cautious here because we never know. We could get a lot lower than what I'm showing right here as an example. But this is really my base case. So it's really a fine balance between not getting chopped out of your positions too soon before the actual move happens, and then entering the positions at the right moment. Because at this time when I entered, this looked like the right moment for this token. The markets were pumping. We just got a failed breakout here, and we're back in the range. So this could continue for months, and I might not want to hold this through so long, and maybe there are other opportunities that come up while this is happening, and again I can return to this at some point. We'll see how the markets will play out, but this is just something to think about. If you have altcoin exposure like I do, just consider this in general, that we could be a while before we get this play out, and it could be towards the end of the market cycle. Very, very typical. But for now, everything looks fine. We're just in a range. We're dropping. We're consolidating. Bitcoin's consolidating. So everything looks fine for now. So I personally don't stress out about my positions, and that I'm a little bit more exposed than normal, because just one candle after just how many weeks? We already have like 3 weeks of consolidation here. So if we consolidate for another 2 or more, then just one big fat green candle and everything will look so much better in an instant, like this, and everything will look bullish again, and the buys will look genius if I hold to them, obviously. So yeah, we're in an interesting spot. Another one that I got a position into for a trade was Strap. This one played out very interestingly because the risk to reward here made perfect sense for me. So very close to the range. Even today we're having a reaction of this. So great level here. On the day we bought it, like the next day I was like up, what was that? 10, 20% candle. Didn't sell obviously. But trade is still intact, but as you can see, it's showing a bit more weakness together with Bitcoin than I want to. But I'll just stick to it. I'll let it ride. If it comes to my stop, that's fine. It's not a huge position. But another one that I'll probably cut because this was a trade, is another carbon, really small market cap. This is a browser, so very interesting case with this one. But if it starts breaking and closing below my stop level, I'll just take the L on this one, and then look for a re-entry, because this is not like the highest conviction. They have very interesting narrative, very interesting chart actually. That's why I decided to buy in it. Uh, but it's not like the crazy RWA narrative or AI narrative. This is a browser. I know why I'm buying this, and because of the potential and because it's a good product. But again, if it just doesn't play out now, that's fine. I'll keep it on the watch list, but I'm not going to be risking more than I want to right now. Again, not a huge position size for me. So these are the main things I want to talk about when it comes to the markets. There are a bunch of other charts that we can look at. For example, Arbitrum, broke down. So this one's looking even worse than most of the others. Caspa, again, after massive moves, now it's just chopping around, consolidating back in the range. So we got to be patient with these. We had a crazy and very short-lived base out season. This is the meme coin of base. You can see here breakout, and then it just flopped. Pretty much we're retesting. So maybe it will, come back. IRO has been crazy, running like fucking insane, man. This one we got a 40% day, then you got a 15% day. This was so hard to catch. I'm mad at myself because I didn't buy it because it was so low, even back here. But anyway, we're gonna miss some. We're gonna make some. Yeah, so let me see. There's one question. We can look into some ordinal charts if you want to. So I'm interested in many other tokens to have a position into, but I don't have dry powder. Is it wise on this moment to use a part of my BTC to sell to USDT to rotate into alts? I cannot give you such kind of advice, but based on what I just said, I would personally be patient with it. Because what you can easily do is, let's say you like one token. Which one is that? Let's say from the ones we saw, let's say Jito. We'll look into a couple of examples. Jito, you go to Jito BTC chart. Okay. If you don't have it as a given, you can use this and you can do it yourself on TradingView. So here we go. This is the chart. Right now, it's looking good, right? So this is Jito versus Bitcoin. It's been chopping around, but Jito has been doing all right, and it's been having higher highs, higher low structure. So if you believe that Jito will continue outperforming Bitcoin, you can buy the dip if it dips here, or you can buy a breakout. So basically what means you will buy Jito with your Bitcoin here if it breaks out. So you look at it as a trade and as a trade setup. Are you seeing that Jito is starting to outperform Bitcoin? If yes, okay. If it's something like, let's say GMX, because I had a bag of this. Just look at this chart versus Bitcoin. This means that GMX, since, when is this? February. So since 1 year ago, has been massively underperforming Bitcoin. And it's been down only. It's been 80% down versus Bitcoin. Yes, I know. I hold for most of this. Pretty shit. Uh, and there's no time, like there's no signs of this reversing. There's not like an accumulation here. There's not basing out. It's only constantly lower highs, lower lows. If you see a pattern where this starts to shift, then sure, get into it. But as long as you don't see it, I don't see a point of buying it. Now, this is the way to decide if you want to hold Bitcoin or not. And if you want to have dry powder, not Bitcoin, there are other ways to do it. Like, for example, I sold some of my trade also to gain some dry powder here. So I'm taking some of the winners, taking some profit, not huge amounts, but taking some profit, letting the rest ride, and I'm gaining some cash for if we get a dip or whatever the other things that we discussed. So just look into the charts and you can decide. But honestly, even if by keeping Bitcoin, I think you'll do fine. There's another question here. I'm pretty heavy into big time and loaded up when it broke above range about 0.5, so 50 cents. Just would like to see your analysis on that chart, wondering if I should bail or what the floor is. Okay, so big time. I'm also in big time. Seems like you bought quite a bit high. So 50 cents somewhere around here. So probably you bought this breakout. And it's a tricky spot because it looked bullish and suddenly it just didn't look bullish and it didn't even give you a reversal. So usually what tokens will do, if they break below, they will just retest and then we'll chop around and we'll give you kind of a sign that maybe this is not not a great token. If you believe long term in this project, I personally do, right? I personally believe this will be very good in a huge bull run. If you believe in it, you can just, so 44 you say is your entry. So, okay, so that's closer to my entry because 50 cents is quite a bit higher than 44 cents. So we're down 26%, 27%, which is not huge. No, this is an altcoin, it's a volatile also. So if you cannot stomach this and if you have oversized it, I would definitely advise, if we start breaking market structure here, get rid of it. Just sell it because this could take months to play out and just hunt for the next setup if you know what you're doing, of course. But if you have high conviction and we don't break down, I would add a bit of big time. I'm actually looking to add a bit of big time in this area if this chart holds, if we don't break down. And if we break down, so if we break down and reclaim, that again will be another sign of returning strength and confirm this. So if we get back, break down, get back into this range, that will be a good sign, right? To get back on board. So this chart is relatively clean. And this is actually my plan. My cost basis is the same. And I'm still underwater on this. It's not a huge position for me. So I'm comfy. Even if I cut it, it's this position sizing was key here for me. And I like the chart. It's consolidating above this. So one of the cleanest chart. You can watch one of the oldest updates I've done like two or three updates ago. I talked about this, but this is one of the favorite setups that I have. So accumulation, push, accumulation higher, and then potentially more push. But yeah, this is what I'll be looking to do. So if we start breaking with conviction, I'll probably cut it. If we don't, I'll add some more here because it's just a good spot with good risk to reward. So I add somewhere in this area, like 12% risk to go to here, like 50%. So not a terrible one. And yeah, this is how I'll do it personally. Next question. Do you think that the theory of diminishing returns will continue even with the ETFs now? Yes, I do. If we go to Bitcoin, even if we go to like 100,000 or 200,000, that would be great, but I wouldn't be waiting till this number. Because right now we're about a trillion market cap, if I'm not mistaken, or 3.2. For this to double is 2.4 trillion market cap. So that's a huge number. Even with the ETFs, it's still purely as a monetary value. And, ETFs will not just keep buying Bitcoin. If they double from here, trust me, they'll be taking profits. It's not like they're just going to accumulate. So I think around 100K to 150 to 120k, this will be my area that I would start like offloading more Bitcoin and potentially getting closer to a top. And if altcoins run, I'll start heavily taking profit. And that's not as much as we made the previous cycle. So if we take the bottom real quick, so this was the bottom of the previous cycle, roundabout. To the top, it was 2000%. So let's see from this bottom to 100k is about 500%. 120k, that's 700%. So definitely, I see diminishing returns in the market cycle. Long term, maybe we get more price action up, and maybe we get to the market cap of gold, which is about 11 or 12 trillion. But for this cycle, I wouldn't be betting on another 5x from here. How can we find out when the alt season starts? Oh, that's a impossible task. So BTCD gives you some hints, but as you can see, like some altcoins are popping, others are not. So it's really difficult to actually see this happening. But basically, if this chart goes down, this means we're in an out season, and this hasn't been the case. But here you can see a clear out season right here. This is on the monthly. Let's jump on the weekly, maybe a little bit clearer. So once we started, this was in February 17. So very clear downtrend for Bitcoin versus altcoins. And same here, but it was very choppy. Like I wouldn't be able to do TA on this chart, and it's impossible, honestly, but yeah, quite messy. So altcoin season usually starts, let me just give you an example on the chart. Usually starts when Bitcoin does this. So right now, this here, after we broke all-time high, this wasn't out season. Altcoins were still chopping around or accumulating or whatever. This here was out season. This here was out season, and the biggest out season was right here. Right here. So when Bitcoin starts to look sketchy, choppy, call it whatever, this is when things start to heat up. Because people are like, oh, Bitcoin move is over, let's move to the next one. And on this huge red candle, this was, end of, I would say, this bull run here on this first leg up. This was May 10th, 21. So Ethereum topped out at the same week. You can see the all-time high on Ethereum was on the same week. After Bitcoin has chopped for several weeks, and after Bitcoin was already dropping like 20% in a week. This was the all-time high here. So pretty much that's a leading indicator, if I can say. All right. Just a few words about Ordinals, because the space has been interesting. Let's just go to Magic Eden, simplify this. Runes are huge. There are a lot of updates coming into runes. Casey, the creator, just announced like documents and stuff, and pretty much there's an update on the Ord client for the people running Bitcoin nodes that they already have runes incorporated. And there will be a huge war to get into the first runes and so on. So I'm personally not participating in this. I do have some rune stones airdropped to me. I'm still holding most of them. And I'm just looking how this will develop. My base case is we get a pump into the halving, which I will use to dump a lot of these. And then we'll see what happens after the halving and which ones will be good runes, which not. But this is definitely the major thing that the entire market is looking at. And that's why other collections have been suffering. Like even though I'm bullish on bitmaps, they've been going down. I've been buying some. I'm bullish on Bitcoin frogs, but they've been collapsing, not just falling. Or OMB launched a new collection, Orange Eyes. I made quite a bit of Bitcoin there for a very short amount of time, but there's been still also falling. Like just look at the price action for the past few weeks. So they hit a top. They hit a top at the launch of this new collection. They've been just trending downwards. So all eyes are on the runes like narrative. Recently, there's another collection that launched, which is called Ink, and also on One Force. These guys also have a ETH collection. So they've been doing quite well. I bought some ink just today actually, and I also have one from Whitelist. And I think this will do well. Although there's a lot of FUD, this looks like a Zuki derivative, and I agree with that, but that was known even before that. People are going crazy about this. And actually, a quick funny story. I bought yesterday, and the price was here. Price was like 0.4 something. And I bought here, and I forgot about it because I went doing my business. And then I went today into my wallet, and it was the NFT wasn't there. And what happened was that somebody went into the mempool and sniped me. So basically, what they made, they front ran me and they took the ordinal from me. And I just received my Bitcoin back, and I didn't get the actual NFT that I wanted. And I was like, well, thank you, because I bought here lower. But this is how much this collection is hyped. Even for floor ones, because I bought a floor one, people were sniping me out of my out of my NFT. And there was a bunch of, and still there is a bunch of sales above floor. So look at this. This one's looking rare, and it sold for 0.1. This is like 3x above the floor right now. So definitely I like this collection. I think it could pull up a node muck, and I'm looking for another entry. Yeah, so that's all pretty much. That's all. And yeah, guys, if you have any other questions, you know how to find me.